The first time I ever made curtains was in prison, wasn't wearing scrubs. So for those that have been watching my channel for a number of years, you would know the story of how back in 2009, I spent a short time in prison whilst on remand for quite a heavy drug charge, which I wasn't guilty of. Actually experienced how the prison system incorporates fashion in the day-to-day running. So my career took a bit of an abrupt interval when I got arrested back in 2009, voluntarily interviewed, and then charged with 2 counts of possession to distribute Class A drugs, which was obviously a hefty charge, but also false. I spent 4 months, literally 101 days on remand before I got released the day before my trial on an officially not guilty verdict. But I'll tell you the story behind that. The first prison I went to was Wormwood Scrubs. And for those of you that aren't watching from London or don't know London very well, Wormwood Scrubs is in West London. And I guess it is quite an old prison. I guess no prison, whether new or old, does look very nice. And the one thing you know is that prison is boring. And aside from the foolishness that goes on in terms of, there might be fights and exchange for phones and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna have to find a way to make your day go quickly. And one of the 2 main ways, aside from doing the nefarious stuff, is either education or work. And that would mean probably around about 8 o'clock, they'll wake you up, you get out of your cell, and then you go to one of those 2 places. And there's something called free flow in prison, which is where all those that are doing work education, they get to transfer between wings, between certain windows. It's quite a tricky time, I'd say, for the prison officers, because that's when things can really kick off. There could be someone from another wing that's got an issue with you, and if they see you, then it's a hell of a ruckus, and then the alarms go off and all the guards come and then everyone gets locked down. It's absolutely chaotic. Now, at first, whilst awaiting for my trial to happen and whilst trying to fight my case, I chose to do education. No, actually, I was forced to do education. And I guess I've got a degree. I did my A-levels and GCSEs. I mean, I did it reluctantly, but knowing that the other option was just to stay in my cell. And when I first started education, the level of education in prison is not to a good standard. I was very much one of the smartest people in the room, and that was no disrespect to the others that were in the class. So very shortly after, I just got frustrated with the whole education thing. It was a waste of time, and I'd rather just stay in my cell. And then I heard from one of the other prisoners that Wormwood Scrubs offers a textile workshop. And I thought, oh wow, this is incredible. Like, this can be home away from home. And within a matter of days, actually, I got signed up to the textiles workshop. And when I walked in, it was heaven within hell, because obviously prison is hell, but being in that fashion workroom was heaven. And I was astounded that Wormwood Scrubs had such amazing facilities. So I was able to get stuck in. When I told the workroom manager what I did, he was pleasantly surprised, and I think he kind of saw that I was in a situation that wasn't kind of synonymous with my character. So he gave me a bit of leeway. Once he saw me on the machine, he was like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. The other gents in the textile workroom, everyone was coming from different backgrounds. But what you need to understand is that within a fashion workroom, obviously you've got the electric machines, there's a lot of sharp tools. So you have to be one of the trusted prisoners to be able to use this workroom, because the slightest kind of sign of aggression or anything else, you're out, and there's a 1 chance rule in prison. It transpired that we were actually making the beddings for the prison. So that's the bed sheets, the pillowcases and the blankets. And when I mean making it, we're literally just hemming it. Some of the machines had the attachment, and then some of the guys were skilled enough to be able to double fold the edges and just run it off the machine. So it wasn't the most advanced of work that we were doing. One week we were actually making cushions for a company, a soft furnishings company in Chelsea, which the name escapes me, but even if I did remember, I couldn't say it on camera. And I just thought that was incredible that businesses outside were able to use prisoners and prison facilities to make money. Now, I'd heard of this kind of thing going on in America, but never did I think that this would happen in the UK. And they were quite pretty cushions, and the more advanced machinists in the workroom, they were the ones that were working on these cushions because it needed invisible zips and so forth. And obviously I was able to work on those cushions and do some handwork. And then I'd say a couple of weeks later, this was towards my stint at Wormwood Scrubs, because I then moved on to Wandsworth Prison to see out the rest of my remand. There was an opportunity to do a soft furnishings course. I thought, this is incredible. Like, there's more opportunities in prison than there are outside. So I jumped at the chance, and at the end of it, you get this like a vocational qualification. Now, in all my previous years in fashion, obviously I just worked on garments. So the first time I ever made curtains was in prison, was in Wormwood Scrubs. And the way the workshop was mapped out is that you did these exercises where you'd do a mitered corner, or you might do another type of double hemmed finish, and you'd make all these different areas of the curtain before you finally got to making the curtain. Unfortunately, I didn't stay long enough at Wormwood Scrubs to finish the curtain, so I left midway through the course. That was one of the things that saved my life, and just through sheer boredom, because prison life is staying in your cell in a room that is, 10 feet by 8, 9 feet high. And you've got a TV, you've got a wash basin, you've got a bunk bed, and you have to be made of solid stuff to not go crazy in that environment, even in the British prison. Even though it's not as bad as what they face in America, it is pretty damn boring. Yeah, it made the time go by so much quicker. And ironically, I used my time on remand to write a syllabus, a 6-week course for new fashion designers that I was able to pilot with a number of housing associations a couple of years down the line, and I got paid quite a lot of money for that. So as much as my time on remand was, it wasn't by no means a positive or enjoyable experience, there were a number of opportunities that I was able to turn it on its head and I guess develop my career after that, because I was one of the lucky ones. I had a family that loved me. I had a great support system. So I was hoping that I would be able to bounce back from it. And the way my mind works is I'm always seeing the angles, always seeing how I can benefit from the situation that I'm in. I'll just kind of finish off just by giving you the context of why I had to transfer prisons. Because Wormwood Scrubs and Wandsworth are in the same jurisdiction, i.e. South London. So my case got transferred to Crown Court because it couldn't be dealt with magistrates due to the severity of it, and because of the sentence. I think my brief had told me that I was looking at 5 to 7 years if I had been found guilty for the charges that I was facing. It had to be transferred up to a Crown Court, and the nearest Crown Court was, I think, Kingston. So from Kingston, I was sent back to Wandsworth Prison, or HMP 10 as it's also known as. I'm not sure why actually, because I could have been sent just back to Wormwood Scrubs. I think Kingston was pretty much bang in the middle. But one thing to let you know about HMP 10 is that it's built like an American jail. So what you see on TV for American prisons with it being so tight, that's how HMP Wandsworth is built. And it's horrible, it's not nice. I remember the first, I'd say 3-4 days, my numbers weren't transferred over to the new prison system. So I wasn't able to accept any calls So I wasn't able to speak to my parents, my sister, or any of my contacts for, it felt like 2 weeks, but it was only about 4 days. And so it was very tough. The prison system is very slow. It's designed to not benefit the prisoner. I thought naively that in going over to H&P Wandsworth, that they'd have the same facilities and that I'd just be able to slot right in and do the textile workshop and just ride my time up until my trial. But H&P Wandsworth is vastly different, as I've already stated, in terms of how it looks. And those that have had experiences of prison within the UK will know that each prison is vastly different in terms of how it looks and how it runs. What I've heard through contacts is that prisons that are more outside of the main cities, that are in the countryside, their facilities are much better because they are prisons built for sentenced prisoners. So I guess the living quarters are a bit more comfortable, and then there's more things to do to pass time. When you're remanded awaiting trial, you are within a temporary prison that is lacking in facilities. So it is very much a scaled down system that you have to make the most of. Otherwise, you will go insane. But yeah, so that sums up my video in terms of how my experience in fashion has merged with my experience in prison. I hope you guys don't have a loved one that's in prison right now. But anyways, thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next video.